Discovery, go at throttle.
I copied the USGS surveys. It's an exact replica, about as close as I could. Heck, the map took me a month to make. Hey, Karma. But yeah, it looks like we fixed a lot of the traffic problems there. We're still getting impingement here, but that's not nearly as bad as what we were having before. It's a lot better now. But anyway, guys, it's 4 o'clock. There's tons of space news to talk about, so I wanted to start at 4 sharp. How difficult is it to recreate stuff one-to-one in cities? Is the scale difficult? No, not particularly. It just takes time. It just takes time and patience. So let me X out of cities. So it's fun jumping back into cities and playing it. I'll try to do that a little bit more, but there's only so much time in the day, you know? So I'm going to jump into space news here, and we'll go from there. All right, let me just take 5 here. Take 5, go refill my coffee so I can watch radar. I'll be back in a moment. Be back in a sec.
For a number of years now, work has been proceeding in order to bring perfection to the crudely conceived idea of a transmission that would not only supply inverse reactive current for use in unilateral phase detractors, but would also be capable of automatically synchronizing cardinal grammeters. Such an instrument is the turboencabulator. Now, basically, the only new principle involved is that instead of power being generated by the relative motion of conductors and fluxes, it is produced by the modial interaction of magneto-reluctance and capacitive diractance. The original machine had a base plate of prefamulated amulite surmounted by a malleable logarithmic casing in such a way that the 2 spurving bearings were in a direct line with a panametric fam. The latter consisted simply of 6 hydrocoptic Marsal vanes so fitted to the ambifacient lunar wane shaft that side fumbling was effectively prevented. The main winding was of the normal Lotus O-delta type placed in panendermic semi-boloid slots of the stator, every 7th conductor being connected by a non-reversible Tremie pipe to the differential girdle spring on the up end of the Grammys. The turboencabulator has now reached a high level of development, and it's being successfully used in the operation of Nofertronians. Moreover, whenever a fluorescent score motion is required, it may also be employed in conjunction with a drawn reciprocation dingle arm to reduce sinusoidal repleneration. It's not cheap, but I'm sure the government will buy it.
With MailChimp's custom...
Oh boy, the ad blocker's not doing what I wanted. That's great. Good, yeah. I don't care about your ads and will actively avoid your company from now on. Thank you.
Here
At Chrysler Motors Automotive Operations, research has been proceeding to develop a line of heavy-duty transmissions that establishes new standards for reliability, durability, and quality. With customer needs as our primary focus, work is proceeding on the crudely conceived idea of an instrument that would not only supply inverse reactive current for use in unilateral phase detractors, but would also be capable of automatically synchronizing cardinal gram meters. Such an instrument is the turboencabulator. Now, basically, the only new principle involved is that instead of power being generated by the relative motion of conductors and fluxes, it's produced by the modial interaction of magneto-reluctance and capacitive duractance. The original machine had a base plate of prefamulated amulite surmounted by a malleable logarithmic casing in such a way that the two spurving bearings were in a direct line with the panametric fam. The latter consisted simply of 6 hydrocoptic Marsal vanes so fitted to the ambifacient lunar wane shaft that side fumbling was effectively prevented. The main winding was of the normal Lotus O delta type, placed in panendermic semi-boloid slots of the stator, every 7th conductor being connected by a non-reversible tremie pipe to the differential girdle spring on the up end of the gram meters. The turboencabulator has now reached a high level of development, and it's being successfully used in the operation of Nofer-Trunnions. Moreover, whenever a fluorescent score motion is required, it may also be employed in conjunction with a drawn reciprocation dingle arm to reduce sinusoidal depleneration. Thank you.
Thanks, Bud. Now that we know how the turboencabulator works, let's take a closer look at its diagnosis and service. For the purposes of obscurity, we have removed the casing to expose the heart of the turboencabulator, the magneto-reluctance modial interactor. Since little or nothing is known about the principles involved in magneto-reluctance, diagnosing faults can be a problem. Connect a DRB2 to the aft end of the MOXIE interrupter using special adapter WUPD2, making sure the osmolality of the phase detractors is not extrapolated. Begin the test by selecting model year, transmission systems, and turboencabulator run test. If there are any system faults, they will be displayed in secret code on the DRB2 display. It's a simple head code. Anyone can catch it. The most common fault is sigmoid rumbling below the belt line, which the customer will refer to as a burping or even a hiccuping noise. To service this fault, refer to the Turboencabulator Diagnostic Procedures Manual and Songbook and perform test TE10. Using the Geiger scale on the DRB2, measure the Roentgen output of the capacitive reactance flux muster. If it is above 10 RGs, replace the unit. If it is below 10 RGs, you will be directed to perform a series of tests that will effectively raise the billable hours for the service department, but will perform no other useful function. All other faults should be treated as if they do not exist, and the customer should be told that the burping or hiccuping is normal and is caused by too much gas in the fuel system. Well, that's about it for this month's Master Tech. Be sure to watch next month when we'll cover ashtray and cigarette lighter operation, diagnosis, and repair. See you then. Here at Rockwell Automation's World Headquarters, research has been proceeding to develop a line of automation products that establishes new standards for quality, technological leadership, and operating excellence. With customer success as our primary focus, work has been proceeding on the crudely conceived idea of an instrument that would not only provide inverse reactive current for use in unilateral phase detractors, but would also be capable of automatically synchronizing cardinal gram meters. Such an instrument, comprised of Dodge gears and bearings, Reliant electric motors, Allen Bradley controls, and all monitored by Rockwell software, is Rockwell Automation's Retroencabulator. Now, basically, the only new principle involved is that instead of power being generated by the relative motion of conductors and fluxes, it's produced by the modial interaction of magneto-reluctance and capacitive duractance. The original machine had a base plate of prefamulated amulite surmounted by a malleable logarithmic casing in such a way that the two spurving bearings were in a direct line with a panometric fan. The lineup consisted simply of 6 hydrocoptic Marsal vanes, so fitted to the ambifacient lunar wane shaft that side fumbling was effectively prevented. The main winding was of the normal Lotus O deltoid type placed in panendermic semi-boloid slots of the stator. Every 7th conductor being connected by a non-reversible Tremi pipe to the differential girdle spring on the up end of the gram meters. Moreover, whenever fluorescent score motion is required, it may also be employed in conjunction with a drawn reciprocation dingle arm to reduce sinusoidal depleneration. The retroencabulator has now reached a high level of development, and it's being successfully used in the operation of Milford trunnions. It's available soon wherever Rockwell Automation products are sold.
Here at Rockwell's Automotive Operations, research has been proceeding to develop a line of heavy-duty transmissions that establishes new standards for reliability, durability, and quality, with customer needs as our primary focus. Work is proceeding on the crudely conceived idea of an instrument that would not only supply inverse reactive current for use in unilateral phase detractors, but would also be capable of automatically synchronizing cardinal gram meters. Such an instrument is the turboencabulator. This was the idea. 41 monastically spaced grouting brushes were arranged to fade into the rotor slipstream a mixture of high S-value phenyl hydrobenzamine and 5% remonstrative tetraiodohexamine. Now, as you may remember from your high school days, both of these liquids have specific peristocities given by the formula P equals 2.5 C times 6.7 over N, where N, of course, is the diethical evolute of retrograde temperature phase disposition, and C in that formula being Chalmondel's annular grid coefficient. Now, initially, N was measured, and here's where we had a great deal of trouble, with the aid of a metapolar refractive pilfrometer. And of course, for a description of that ingenious instrument that saved us a great deal of work, we referred to Dr. David Blumenstein's book, Zeitschrift für Elektrotechnische Statischer Donnerblitzer. That was Blumenstein's 7th volume, I believe. But up until now, nothing has been found to equal the transcendental Hopper datascope, and for that our engineers referred to the Peruvian Academy of Scatological Sciences, which I believe was, yes, it was June 1914, that meeting. Now, I understand that this description may sound a bit complicated to the lay ear, but even experienced electrical engineers will appreciate the difficulty of nubbing together a regurgitative pearl well and a supernative Wainel sprocket. Indeed, this proved to be a stumbling block to further development. We were at our wits' end until in 1984 it was found that the use of anhydrous nangling pins enabled a cryptonaptic bowling shim to be tankered. The turboencabulator has now reached a high level of development, and it's being successfully used in the operation of Milford trunnions. Moreover, whenever a fluorescent score motion is required, it may also be employed in conjunction with a drawn reciprocation dingle arm to reduce sinusoidal depleneration. Now, we realize that $59 billion is a great deal of money, but we at Rockwell Automotive believe sincerely our customers are worth it. Thank you.
The missile knows where it is at all times. It knows this because it knows where it isn't. By subtracting where it is from where it isn't, or where it isn't from where it is, whichever is greater, it obtains a difference or deviation. The guidance subsystem uses deviations to generate corrective commands to drive the missile from a position where it is to a position where it isn't, and arriving at a position where it wasn't, it now is. Consequently, the position where it is now the position that it wasn't, and it follows that the position that it was is now the position that it isn't. In the event that the position that it is not the position that it wasn't, the system has acquired a variation. The variation being the difference between where the missile is and where it wasn't. If variation is considered to be a significant factor, it too may be corrected by the GEA. However, the missile must also know where it was. The missile guidance computer scenario works as follows. Because a variation has modified some of the information the missile has obtained, it is not sure just where it is. However, it is sure where it isn't, within reason, and it knows where it was. It now subtracts where it should be from where it wasn't, or vice versa. And by differentiating this from the algebraic sum of where it shouldn't be and where it was, it is able to obtain the deviation and its variation, which is called error.
Everybody got that? Yeah? We good? Its variation is error. Get it? Will this be on the test? Yeah? Yeah, you have to understand that the turbo-encabulator is successfully being used in the operation of no for trunnions. Hello? And it's produced by the relative motion of conductors and fluxes and modal interaction of magneto-reluctance and capacitive directance. God, guys, it's the 3rd grade. I wumbo, you wumbo, he, she, they, wumbo, wumboing. It's the 3rd grade, chat. Space news? All right, cool. Got a link to that one? No. The Peruvian Institute of Scatological Sciences. Yes, yes. I wrote my college thesis about that. Anyway, space news. All right, so let's jump into it. Just turn it off and turn it back on again. All right. So Starliner was supposed to launch today. The OFD-2 mission was supposed to go, but it turned out that there was a scrub. They did scrub the launch. It was a 50% probability to go, so that means it had a 50-50 chance of going, depending on the weather, regardless. But Boeing did find during pre-launch preparations, our engineers detected an unexpected valve position indicators in the propulsion system. To read the full statement, go here. During pre-launch preparations of the uncrewed test flight of the CST-100 Starliner capsule, Boeing engineers... Puppet! Boeing engineers monitoring the health and status of the vehicle detected unexpected valve position indications in the propulsion system. The issue was initially detected during checkouts following yesterday's electrical storms in the region of the Kennedy Space Center area. Consequently, the launch of the Starliner spacecraft to the International Space Station atop a United Launch Alliance Atlas V rocket will be postponed. The rocket was scheduled for 1:20 p.m. Eastern Time on Tuesday, August 3rd, that's today, and Boeing and NASA teams are assessing the situation. The team will provide updates regarding a launch attempt on Wednesday, August 4th. John Vollmer, vice president of Boeing's commercial crew program, said, "We're disappointed with today's outcome and we need to reschedule our Starliner launch. Human spaceflight is a complex, precise, and unforgiving endeavor. And Boeing and NASA will take the time they need to ensure that the safety and integrity of the spacecraft and the achievement of our mission objectives are met. Updates will be provided by Boeing and NASA as information is analyzed and confirmed." All right, so what does that mean in plain English? If that also sounded like turbo-encabulator to you. So long story short, they were doing checkouts. It seems like over the weekend there was a thunderstorm in Florida. I know. Big update. It seems like there was a thunderstorm in Florida, so they were doing checkouts of the spacecraft. So they did a checkout probably on Friday, right? And everything looked good, right? And then they did a checkout again over the weekend after the Starliner had been out on the pad, and they found something different. They found a unexpected valve position indicator. So, now, what does that mean? Does that mean the valve is bad? Could be sensor problem. Could just be you have to turn it back on and turn it back off again. It could be a bad read. The point is that they don't know exactly what it is, and they got to figure it out. It's a complicated spacecraft. Now, even once they figure it out, they got to figure out, like, okay, is the valve actually open? Is it actually closed? We don't know. And even if they do figure it out, they got to figure out why it happened. That's going to take some time. And that's what they mean when they say they're going to assess the data. Right now, there are Boeing engineers combing through the sequence of events that led up to the valve position indicator fault, and they're trying to figure out why either the sensor or the valve or both of them are anomalous comparatively to the checkouts that were done previously. This is what they mean when they say spaceflight is difficult. If you put the capsule on the pad and the capsule was in a certain configuration on Friday, and then you had thunderstorms pass through the area, and then you went to check it out again today and it's different, well, then you got a problem. That's one of those red flags that, did it get struck by lightning? What's changed since the other day? What changed during the weekend? So it seems like they had a checkout because of the electrical storms in the area, and not necessarily because, the capsule didn't get struck by lightning. They would have noticed that. Somebody would have noticed that at some point. There's cameras on this capsule at all times to make sure that there's cameras on it right now that are, on the pad, that are recording. They're recording all, it's a closed circuit TV. They're doing it all day, 24/7, while that thing is out on the pad to see, make sure a bird didn't fly into it or something, So they do these checkouts on purpose, and that ensures mission success. It ensures mission, assures mission assurance. Good choice of words there, moron. This kind of stuff is something that you don't want to screw around with, especially since you're doing an orbital flight test. It's very important that the data is not anomalous, meaning how Boeing does their testing with Starliner and how they do, this is very similar to how NASA does their testing as well. They'll test everything on the ground as much as they possibly can. It's not really how that panned out this time, but that's another story. And then they'll launch it all in one shot. And it's very important, this one-shot OFT mission, instead of rapid iterations like what SpaceX does, this one-shot OFT mission you shouldn't learn anything new from the orbital flight test. If you learn something new, like what happened with OFT-1, that means you didn't test good enough. All right? The way I like to say how these flight tests work, so OFT-1, OFT-2, Artemis-1 will be this way. You do not want to learn anything new, okay? The capsule should do exactly what you intended it to do, and that's the way that you certify a spacecraft. Heck, even SpaceX with their rapid prototyping still had to do a demo flight to confirm that all of their data matched exactly how they thought the capsule was going to perform. That's what Demo 2 was about. So it's very important that you understand the data, you analyze it, and most importantly, you make sure that it's not a red flag comparatively to what your testing criteria was. This is why space is difficult. That Starliner, even though it's just a pod, has a million moving parts. Not a million. That's hyperbole on my part. There's a lot of different complicated systems on board the service module, on board the capsule, and on top of all that, and this is the most important thing, it's a new design. Okay? So it's very important to understand that Boeing wants to make sure they have the best chance of success that they possibly can to basically correlate their flight test data with their ground testing data. And if those two match up, then that's the way you achieve certification. That's how you get a spacecraft human rated, to make sure that you launch the thing into space and it did exactly what you thought it was going to do. No deviance in the engineering. And an anomalous sensor like this could be nothing. It could be something. It could be a false reading. Turning it on and turning it back off could fix the problem. That happens with spacecraft. They do cycle power like that sometimes, and it does fix it. But the most important thing here is to understand what happened and why it happened. Okay? Is the valve position closed? Is it open? Is it a bad sensor? What caused the sensor to go bad? This capsule's brand new. See what I'm talking about? This is what that's what they mean when they're going to comb through the data. They got to figure this stuff out. So they're going to do that now, and OFD2 is scheduled for tomorrow, 12:57 Eastern. So I'll be here and we will cover it. I heard the electrical storms were wild. Some people putting down remotes were saying it was insane and more than normal for KSC. I mean, la vie, so it was good that they checked it. And with that, Boeing has better up. Yeah, I guess. Atlas in the pad worked perfectly according to Tori Bruno. He was quick to make that known, yeah. Wasn't a valve stuck in the capsule? You don't know. Imagine if the engine's fired accidentally. Yeah, that would suck. Yeah. Hydron, 16-month resub. 16 months aboard this rocket. Nice. So, another important thing to remember is that especially when you're testing new hardware like this, is to just scrub. If you're not sure, just don't even bother. Don't bother trying. Just wait. Wait another day. Wait another week. It's not that big of a deal in the scheme of things. All the time and effort that it took to put that Atlas on the pad, to build it, to put it on the pad. I mean, the engines came from on the other side of the world. The RD-180 came from freaking Moscow. Came from Energomash, right? All the time and effort from people from multiple countries, all over the world, came together to put this rocket together. That takes years. It takes years. A week, even if it scrubs for a week, even if it scrubs tomorrow, even if they can't figure it out, even if they have to roll it back to the hangar and it takes another month. A month even is a small blip on the entire launch campaign of this capsule. It does take time to do this stuff, guys. I mean, don't get me wrong. Wario over here is trying to change that, and I agree. That's a good idea. We should do that. But for right now, this is how it's done, and you've got to be very sure. So, I mean, scrubs are easily forgotten. Like, people forget that Demo 2 scrubbed. Demo 2 scrubbed SpaceX's first capsule flight with people on board. That scrubbed. Nobody remembers that. Everybody remembers that Demo 2 went into space. And it was totally successful, and Bob and Doug's spacesuits are at KSCVC being shown off next to the space shuttle. Everybody remembers that. A failed mission, everybody remembers permanently. So you don't want to screw this up. And Boeing knows that, and actually their intention to stand down and review the data is telling me that they're taking this very seriously, that's right. That's what you should be doing. That's correct. Local news just did a short piece on Starliner not launching. They didn't put a positive tone to it. Whatever. Because your local news knows a lot about spaceflight, right? And that's not a jab. The space news isn't their specialty. I don't go tell them how their local community works, you know? That's right, Havocs. Never said they aren't idiots. Now, they're not idiots. They just don't know anything about spaceflight. It scrubbed due to weather a bit before T-minus 16 minutes. That's right. Does air pressure affect rocket launches? It's not so much air pressure, Kelly, but windage, which kind of has a lot to do with that, but kind of doesn't. I mean, wind is very bad for a rocket. Upper level wind shear forces on the rocket can really screw stuff up. You got to remember that rocket is turning right in the upper atmosphere. That's where it does the majority of its turn. And in upper level winds, you have a lower air density. If there's a lower air density, that means the air molecules can move fast. So the wind up there is very, 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 very fast. And once again, we're talking about airspeed here. The wind, if you were just sitting up there, might not seem like a lot, right? But the speed at which it moves around, it might seem like a calm breeze, I guess. But the wind it's moving around much faster relative to air that moves down here because there's less air molecules to bump into. You can move more freely. Upper level winds can shear a rocket and really cause problems. One thing that's very prevalent in my mind for wind shear is STS-51L. Everybody harps on the O-ring. Oh, the O-rings are bad. The O-rings are bad. The O-rings. So they launched with O-rings and they had SRB blow-by and the shuttle made it into space. Problem is that on that particular launch, you had compounding launch violations. It was too cold and it was too windy. And those two combining is what caused that shuttle to fail. You know, rip to the Challenger 7. The heart's over here. So it's really important, like, if you start having red flags, right? It's like fouls, or it's like strikes in baseball. You know, getting a strike is not that bad, but getting 3 of them, you lose. You're out. You know, you don't want too many strikes. You don't want them to compound. So, because when they do, bad stuff happens. So, Boeing's going to stand down from that, and they'll get it done tomorrow, or they'll get it done whenever they're friggin' ready. You know, and that whenever they're friggin' ready is the more important part right there. Oh, that's very nice, Thomas. I will fire when I'm damn well ready. Hey, Wolfpack, what's up, dude? Alright, so check this out. Thomas, I'll actually share that for the next one. Check this out. Oh, baby. Second SLS core. There's the engine section for Artemis 2. And then there's the forward skirt, liquid oxygen tank, and inner tank right there for Artemis 2. We almost got 2 core stages ready to go, guys. That's the engine mount right there. No, scratch that. That's a gimbal actuator mount, I think. Hold on, let me go take a look. Yeah, the engine mount is over here. Or no, that could be. No, it's too far. It's too far out. Well, I don't know. Hard to say. Wait, 145. Weight is 145. I'm not actually sure what that is. I know it's out at the bow tail, but I'm not 100%. Link for research? Oh, absolutely, man. Whis, what's going on? Do it once, do it right. That's right. Are we still on time for a November launch? As far as I know, Endo, yeah. Does this mean Artemis 3 will be ready before 2023? If I had my way, it'd launch next year, Elfish, but that's just me. Do we call this the second most powerful rocket now? Yeah, I don't know, maybe. That's nice, man. Flight hardware, baby. That's really cool. Zgogs, it's going to go to the ISS. That's correct. You know what? I'm putting this at... Joe, that's a good point. I'm putting that in my SLS research pictures. There we go. So yeah, that's the Artemis 2 mission. The Artemis 2 mission will be the first SLS mission to carry people on board on an Orion capsule, which is very, very nice. I'm not sure what these struts are for. I think that's for an outer engine mount, but I'm not 100%. I'd have to talk to the guys that build this stuff. Or is I don't know. I don't know what that's for. That's the part behind that's going to go on top of it. Well, Phil, there's going to be a hydrogen tank here. So there's going to be a tank that's like 3 times the size of that one. That attaches, the top of the tank attaches here. And then it's 3 times the length of the liquid oxygen tank, and the bottom of it attaches here. Core stage is about 220 feet tall. It's like 60-something meters and change. It's a big piece of equipment. It's as big as Super Heavy is. Actually, Super Heavy might be a little bit... Super Heavy's a little bit bigger due to a wider core diameter, but it still is massive. It's really big. Gimbal actuators? Yeah, that could be. No green run required for this one, right? The way that they do testing, yeah, it's not going to be needed. But anyway, pretty cool. Next bit of space news here. This is the Lucy payload. Lucy is a asteroid flagship mission for NASA that's going, well, out to the asteroids. It's going to... Here, following launch, Lucy will fly by 7 asteroids, 6 of which are Trojan asteroids in Jupiter's orbit. Lucy is one of 2 asteroid research missions that's being done by NASA. There's Lucy, this one, and then there's Psyche. Psyche is going to go to one big asteroid that we think has tons of rare earth metals on it, and that one is going to be launched by SpaceX. This one is going to a bunch of different asteroids. It's going to fly by a bunch of asteroids to inspect them, basically. And this one's being launched by ULA. It just arrived down on the Cape. This is on the Cape Canaveral Space Force Base skid strip. And then the satellite's in there, and they rolled it out. What plane is that? That's a C-17. C-17 serial number 41. 70041. What configuration of Atlas? I'm not sure, Sea Dragon. Lucy is our current foster dog, and she's now confused because she keeps hearing her name. Oh, sorry about that. Just microwaved a chimichanga. Kid, he left one in the kitchen, came back, and the timer said 154. I see that damn number everywhere. Yeah, so do I, Mike. Yeah, no, it's everywhere. It's a great number. How do they think there's rare earth metals on it? Well, they looked at it with a telescope. Certain telescope that they just fixed. Got 'em. Yeah, that's a C-17. Yeah, that's usually... These numbers up here, they do change them, but that usually denotes to the serial number on the plane. So this is the 41st C-17 to be made, if I'm looking at that right. A C-17A, to be exact. They usually put the type of plane right below it, Victory, but they didn't do it this time. C-17s, or just Globemaster 3s, are a medium-duty... air mobility lift plane. They're not the biggest one. Nice. They're not the biggest one, but they're a pretty good medium duty lifting plane. They were originally made by McDonnell Douglas, and then Boeing and McDonnell Douglas merged in the 90s. So now they were made by Boeing. They finished the production run a number of years ago. They used to be made in Long Beach. The cool thing is, just a little bit of a side note, the cool thing is that the C-17 plant at Long Beach Airport, Relativity bought it. Yeah, and they're going to make that their place to where they build their rockets. Yep. Relativity bought the C-17 plant, which is pretty cool. It's pretty neat. They use this thing for all kinds of stuff. I mean, C-17s are a big utility plane, and they're not just used by us either. Hey, what's up? Yeah, maybe sometimes they change the name, so I don't think that's the 41st one to roll off. The number could have been changed. I don't know what C-17 this is. We could probably figure out what outfit it's with. It says Charles up there. So let's see. Well, that solves that problem. Well, I figured that one out. Charleston right there. So South Carolina. Charleston Air Force Base is home to the 628th Air Base Wing. And what do they operate?
Discovery, go at throttle up.
Doesn't say. Tim Starship Part 1 is going live in 30 minutes. Timmy doesn't want me to watch his stuff on stream, and I understand that. That's totally cool, so I really can't do anything about that. That's cool. Thanks for letting me know, but it doesn't really... I'm going to have to wait until the stream's over, guys. I'll tell you about it, though. He every day had a interview with Elon about Starship, which is pretty rad. So, yeah, there's that. But, yeah, I don't... I asked him about it. I'm like, hey, can I show clips of your stuff on here? And he's like, you can I'd prefer people to go to the YouTube channel. And I'm like, yeah, that's fine, dude. Yeah, no problem. I'm not trying to be like, oh my God, really? Like, that's stupid. But that's, hey, he's the one that went down there and did the work. If he doesn't want me viewing it, that's not his problem. I totally understand that. It makes perfect sense to me. Hey, Avix, he's the one that did it, so it's his choice. And once again, I like Tim. Tim's go out and take it personally, dude. It's just business. How much research and time it takes to make his videos, he deserves every view. But yeah, you'll get no argument from me. I mean, how hard was it to schedule an interview with the meme lord himself? Like, that's... His efforts should be rewarded, and I totally get that. That's fine. Oh, I understand. Like, you don't need to say that. That's a hard thing to do. It's doing background stuff, dude, when you're in content creation, like DOS, like what DOS does, what I do. I mean, I'm terrible at it. I don't really do background stuff. I'm in front of the camera most of the time. But, you know, all the background research that it takes to do all this stuff, all the time, organization, the logistics of it, guys, that's hard. It's tough. It's really difficult to do. I mean, ask DOS. He knows. I mean, he knows how difficult this stuff is. Dude, I'm not really that good at it. I like sitting here and streaming, you know? So, it's all good, man. Yeah, I don't take it personally. I understand. That makes perfect sense. I mean, if I had something that I worked really tough on like that, dude, I would be a little peeved if somebody just used it without permission. That's why any other space creator, I always ask. Every time. I always ask, just to be sure. That's why I don't shill Lab Padre, because I've never reached out. I probably should do that. I'm just, once again, balancing background stuff with with streaming is really tough. That's a really hard thing to do, because at the end of the day, with how much that I stream, you don't want to do anything. You just don't. I'm here for 10, 12 hours, and then on the weekends, it's like 15, 16-hour streams. I don't feel like doing anything after that. Yeah, there you go. There's no drama here. There doesn't need to be any drama. I asked him and he said, no, it's fine. Like, whatever. I don't take it personally. Neither should you guys. Anyway, next news. No, quadriplegic. I haven't seen it, but I know about it. Anyway. So this is coming from Netflix. Not something we really cover for space news, but it's something about space to note here, that Netflix is doing a documentary, a 5-part series about Inspiration 4, which is the first all-commercial mission that's headed up by Jared Isaacman, with Haley Archino, Chris Sambrowski, and Dr. Cyan Proctor. It's the first commercial mission to space on a SpaceX capsule. It's entirely private. There's no NASA astronauts on it, no nothing. Netflix is doing a 5-part series about it, which is pretty cool. That's pretty neat. I dig it. That's really neat. I could revel, yeah. So that's pretty neat. And then that's pretty much what's going on with everything else. There is a lot of SpaceX news, to say the least. I'm just trying to organize it so it's relatively in order. So, booster number 4, right when I started up the stream, rolled out of the high bay and was moved to the launch site. This is a picture from Elon himself here. Pretty much drifting, yes. I find it disgusting how installing rocket engines took them one night. Well, my car door took a week. Yeats, I've never seen any space program ever, and don't get me wrong, I wasn't alive during Apollo, but I've done tons of research, deep dives into things on how Apollo came together, why it came together, what they were trying to do. With that being said, I've never seen anyone go this fast, ever. Maybe the Apollo program, in like 66, 67, they were going very quickly. But with this being said, that booster was a bunch of rings on the ground like 2 weeks ago, which is unbelievably quick. I've never seen anyone go this fast. Yeah, Laserman, it's crazy. You have space news and then SpaceX news. Yeah, something like that. I think they're just steel, Tessa. Those grid fins are the size of a truck. I mean, see the truck down there? It's pretty nuts. Apollo went quickly for the time it was in. Yeah, that's right. Linux, considering they had to learn it, but this is just absurdly quick, dude. They installed all those engines pretty much overnight, which is just unbelievable. And then 20 is over there with its thermal protection system on it, and that's over here. Take a look. Jack Beyer over at NASA Spaceflight took these pictures. Wow. Dude. I don't even know what to say. That's unreal. It's making me pretty damn happy that we're seeing tiles again. Look at this picture that Jack took. This is Jack Beyer over at NASA Spaceflight. Holy crap. How do you think they managed to install all those overnight with a forklift? Yeah, with a forklift is the answer to that. Now, don't get me wrong, guys. Look, they're probably not hooked up. I'm serious. They're probably not hooked up. They're probably installed. So think about it like putting an engine in a car. You could put an engine in a car. That's fine. And you can hook it up and bolt it in. Does that mean it's going to run? No. Ask me how I know. I've done that. You got to hook up everything else. The engines are most likely just bolted in. I don't know that for sure, but that's how they installed 29 engines in one night. They're just bolted in. So what does that mean? The mount, the gimbal actuators, and the plumbing. The liquid oxygen line and the liquid methane line. I bet you the wires aren't hooked up. None of the sensors or anything are hooked up. They're probably going to do that on the pad. Because if they stack the thing, while they're stacking Starship, they could work what's called the work in parallel. They could do the work on Super Heavy, and then they could do the work on Starship while Super Heavy is being worked on. That's how they did it so quickly. I don't think any of the engines are hooked up. But once again, I don't know that for sure. We could look at the footage if you want, because there is footage here like that. Elon posted this again, and it's just, jeez. It's crazy. It's crazy. I mean, look at the dude. It's ridiculous how big this thing is. I'm at a loss. Words cannot describe the ridiculousness of this. Can we call that an engine farm? Sure. Yeah, I'll bet you that even the guy walking around doesn't do it justice. Probably not. How big are the bolts? Which ones? Like those? Oh, I don't know. Half it? No, they're probably not half it. Those are probably inch. But then again, it's stainless. I don't know. We'd have to zoom in on it and look. Mary had this picture of them delivering the booster there. And then NASA Spaceflight did a stream as well. And see what I mean? They're working in parallel here. The fixed service structure isn't even finished yet. And the booster's already there. Probably going to stack the booster and build the pad while the booster is being worked on, which is just... Once again, I've never seen this crazy a parallel workflow, and I've never seen a space program go this quickly. It is crazy how fast this is happening. You probably won't see anything like this again. I mean, that would be cool if we do, but I'll tell you right now, it's a pretty big milestone, man. This is unbelievably fast. What mission is this for? Well, this mission is for the Starliner. It's a TPS flight test. So what they're going to do is they put a Super Heavy together real fast, and it's not a fully finished Super Heavy, I guess, but what this is designed to do is test out Starship's thermal protection systems. That's what this test is for. SpaceX's orbital flight test is to test the TPS. They need to make sure before they kind of solidify, I guess, Starship's kind of design, they need to make sure that its thermal protection systems work. And the reason why they're even bothering doing a flight test like this is because you can only simulate this. Nobody's ever tried to land something like this. The Starship is as big as the space shuttle's external tank. The giant orange tank on the shuttle, it's that big. Nobody's ever tried to bring something this big back from space, to my knowledge. Because there's really a kind of a lack of data, you can predict so much, right? How it's going to work, and then you're going to have to actually go and test it. BN4, go. Hey, Groove, thank you. Yeah, I don't know, Havocs, maybe. Yeah, I don't know when it's going to launch, but I know that SpaceX has an internal date of the 5th for stacking, so we should see this thing being stacked sometime this week. Starship is Apollo on steroids with damn near the speed. If it works, I say human rating in 5 years. Yeah, maybe, Vanguard. This thing, dude, it is... This isn't even Apollo on steroids. This is taking all the best parts of the Apollo program and all the best parts of the shuttle program and combining it into one thing. Which, look, making a Super Heavy launch vehicle is difficult. And Vanguard, I know you know this, like... just saying it in general. Making a Super Heavy launch vehicle is difficult. Making a reusable vehicle is difficult. With that being said, SpaceX is making a reusable Super Heavy launch vehicle. This is insanely difficult. It's one thing to reuse a first stage. It's a whole nother thing to reuse a second stage. That's why the shuttle ended up being so damn complicated. And this thing, Starship, should be able to do everything that the shuttle can do and more, which is ridiculous. In a good way, in a good way, in a good way. How much money is it going to cost? I don't know. There's no way to figure that out, T-Man. You can't say how much is a house going to cost while it's being built. You have an estimation, and then there's the final price. I have no idea. And neither does SpaceX. Super Heavy doesn't leave the atmosphere? No, it just goes up, turns around, and comes back. It doesn't get... It'll get up into space, but not for very long. Also important to mention this. What do we got? Eric saying, the rapid assembly of Starship, its Super Heavy booster, and the orbital launch complex sets up yet another high-stakes showdown between the FAA and SpaceX. The company is going to be ready to fly, but there's no clarity on when the FAA will complete its environmental review. Mike Baylor over at NASA Spaceflight says that the next step in the FAA process is publication of the draft environmental assessment for public comment. The baseline is 30 days for comments per the FAA's website. And this is just the next step. There are other major steps too. FAA approval is still months away, it seems. I can't think of another project that has the scope and speed of Starship. It's really getting done quickly, Killer Fun, yeah. Bottleneck is going to be the environmental assessment and public comment period. Usually it takes 30 to 45 days for public comment after it's... Yeah. I don't think it's going to take that long. That's just personal opinion. What's this picture of? Oh, Jack took a nice big picture of the Starship. 144 megapixel. Holy cow. Do they need FAA approval if they launch from sea launch platforms? I'm not sure. It's interesting that... So, they have tiles. They have the tiles flat here. There's like basically a baseball home plate shaped tile here. And they didn't finish them up on the bulkhead right there. Interesting. That's the bottom of the methane tank right there. That's why that's there, but I'm not sure why they would put a seam. Well, I know there's a seam on the bulkhead, but maybe it's because it flexes or something. I don't know why that seam is there. Like it's probably because of flexing, but interesting that it is there. It seems like, oh no, there's another seam right there, and there's no bulkhead right there. Huh. It seems like yeah, the tiles are interesting. And don't get me wrong, fellas. I'm not sitting here and looking at this saying, oh, why would they do that? I don't understand. That's so dumb. I would do it this way. No. I'm trying to understand why they did this. That's a seam right there, obviously. But there's no seam right here. But they still have a line in the tiles. And then there's another one down here. It seems like they're a certain distance apart. It's got to, yeah, I mean, it's probably something to do with thermal. Yeah. That's what I'd guess. I also noticed that these tiles are they're all different heights and different shapes slightly. See how there's seams here? I know enough about hypersonics to know that could cause problems. But once again, I'm not second guessing SpaceX by any means. I'm sure if I had to guess, when the tanks get pressurized, this will all even out. That's my guess, but I don't know for sure. It's very interesting though. Like I'm not used to seeing tiles with like scuff marks on them and just placed all. Yeah, it's just placed out, no problem. And then there's tiles on the wings as well, which is just amazing. Testing for the best thermal layout? Yeah, it's possible. Are you gonna need another coffee today? Need the clean Keurig? No, No, I have my last coffee. Great picture coming from Jack there. Let's see, what else do we have? So South Padre took this picture here. He was out on the horse. See? There's Elon doing his thing. Man. So Elon's about 6'2", which means the SPMT is about 6 feet tall. That's 2 meters. This red right there is 2 meters off the ground for the metric people. And if you back out, yeah, about that. Do you think the horse knows what's going on? You think the horse knows what that is? The horse probably looks at that and goes,
Discovery,
yeah,
go at throttle.
yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what that is. That's South Padre, Rich. He lives down the street. It's crazy. It's crazy how big that is. Horse probably thinks it's a giant tree, though. I don't think the horse I think the horse understands what the heck's going on. The horse is probably just like, yeah, I don't know what that is. But if the human's okay, then I'm going to be okay. Shaw, 73-month resub. 7 plus 3 equals 10. That's a horse. Yep. Sure. So, oh man, dude, this freaking picture, man. It's so ridiculous to see it. That's crazy. That's freaking nuts. In such a good way, dude, it's amazing. It's freaking amazing. Another interesting spot is the GPS antenna location. It's in line with the flaps and they can install the tiles. Oh. Yeah. Where will the hatch for the elevator be? Well, this is the propulsion section, Nurak, so that would be up here and off the side. For my tank watchers that are in chat, to quote NASA Spaceflight, do we have a picture of the upper section of this? It's interesting how the tiles go around the flaps. Well, some plasma might come over this, Joe, if they're re-entering at a different at different angles of attack. Did you know you've ignored my tile question 3 times so far? What's your tile question? Here, let me stop what I'm doing. Please. Ask. Did they intentionally leave the tiles off to test the effects of a missing tile? I don't know. I don't know. I have no idea, Yarg. This is uncharted territory. I couldn't tell you. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with those things. I mean, I'm not sure that these things would be able to... I mean, I suppose because you have the stainless steel and you have Nomex backing, so they have Nomex. So it's stainless steel, Nomex is an intermediary, and then the tile. I'm guessing that you could probably lose a couple of them, but not too many. You start losing too many, you're gonna heat up the stainless steel in a non-uniform manner. And stainless steel doesn't necessarily like being heated up. You can, but it gets a little weak when you heat it up. It stays strong when it's cold, believe it or not. Nose cone? Oh, thanks, Joe. Thanks, Phil. I appreciate it. Let's check out the front section of this. Okay, so these pictures are coming from Mary at NASA Spaceflight. This is the forward section of the vehicle. Oh my goodness. Tough rock, man. You don't need reinforced carbon. They can just, yeah, the tiles will straight up resist. They'll straight up resist plasma. That's unbelievable. It's so cool. I have some Russian news. Should you post it now? Yeah, go ahead, man. Is it duct tape? I don't think that's duct tape. It's space tape, yeah. The tiles at the edges are glued in place using a red adhesive. Okay. Okay, picture. Yeah, it's like dial-up again, Hotbox. I don't know why it's going so slow. Here, I'm gonna load up the next one. It'll load real quick. I don't know why that one took forever. Yowza. So there's the forward RCS right there. Man, I wonder what they're gonna do with the hoist points. Like, how are you gonna hoist this thing? Because that goes through the thermal protection system. Maybe it like folds in and they put tiles over it or something. Resist plasma, held in with tape. Isn't material science interesting? Oh man, dude, this thing's gonna look like the shuttle, man. It's gonna look like the space shuttle. Seeing SN20 come together is gonna be pretty freaking cool, dude. Are you going to Boca for the orbital launch? Oh, I don't know. Maybe. I wonder what those guys are right there. Come on, go. Do it. I'd rather watch it with you guys, but yeah, maybe. Remove the studs right there. Interesting. So the hatch, Nurak, if you're still here, is supposed to be right there. See how there's the wings right here? Man, that's the same picture. Yowza. That's unbelievable. There we go. That's the zoomed out picture. Emergency pop valves? Yeah, maybe. So the hatch should be right here. At least that's what we've seen. But we've also seen SpaceX prototype out a payload bay. Shuttle-style payload bays here, which I think Dos could appreciate some extra hands on site. Please cover it at Texas. Okay. I'll see what we can do. Let me talk to Dos. It's ridiculous. The pace that's going on here is absurd. It is just, yeah. I have no words. This is happening so quickly. If you had a choice, would you want to watch it launch or land? Land. Yeah, I can't do anything with that, Cajun. Yeah. So you watch it on your own time. Max, really looks like they're testing how crappy they can make it. Yeah. And this is regarding the Russian operational segment. Okay, who told me to see their last? Sorry, I totally missed it. What are the tiles made of? Tough and unifibrous, reinforced, oxidation-resistant carbon. It's like a Mark II shuttle tile. Just came in. Have you seen this? Yeah, it's over here. I have that open already. Yep. I wanted to see this last one. Yeah, see, there we go. I mean, the scale of this thing is just ridiculous, man. Yeah, okay, Finos. Yeah, I got you. A lot more people read that than I thought. I woke up and all of a sudden there were 29 Raptors. I didn't think that. Yeah, no, Hunts, they from what I understand, Elon basically, and this like once again, this is no like insider information or anything. You can see it just from what people are posting on Twitter, or wherever. It seems like he said anybody that's not working on non-essential stuff, come to Texas to help. Anyone that's SpaceX staff, come here. You will be reimbursed, and even then he's saying like he flew people in on his private jet. Like SpaceX is running a charter airline right now to move the employees around, which is crazy. That's really cool that he's moving them around for nothing. That's really cool. And then like housing and stuff, I guess, will be reimbursed from what I understand. I mean, which once again, that's nothing weird. That's, yeah, companies do stuff like that all the time. Hey, Alpha Target, what's up? Stitch picture from Jack. We saw that one too. Chris, you're late to the party, my man. The 144 megapixel picture. We just looked at it a second ago. It's amazing, man. No, I know it's not this one. It's looking from the other way, but you'll meet Elon Musk, okay? Yeah, well, exactly. It's just crazy. That's cool, Max. Neat. So that's the bottom part of it, and then that's the top. I'm going to guess that these are probably going to find themselves together, joined together in one piece, probably in the next couple of days, maybe even tomorrow, judging by how fast they're going here. I mean, they are going fast, but this, you know what's crazy? This has reminded me of the way these tiles are set up. They go they look like they're going to go a little bit diagonally up, and then they're going to cross over the top of the nose. It reminds me. The Starship's basically gonna look just like that, man. And the tiles are they're gonna go up and diagonally just like that, and that makes me really happy. It makes me so happy. Prop section is in the high bay already, so I thought you would enjoy this. It's not space news, okay? Oh, yeah. No, yeah. What a cluster, Bandit. What a cluster. Do you think they will try to lift super heavy on the launch pad today? No, probably tomorrow. Yeah, seeing that, the tiles going over the nose and the RCS sticking out of the tiles and stuff, like, it's gonna look just like that, man, and it's gonna be amazing. It's gonna look just like that. Oh, it's gonna be so damn cool. The angle is probably determined by the lowest Mach number. You still need the RCC to resist plasma at. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean... Yeah, dude. Yeah, I think, yeah, that sounds right. I mean, it's just crazy to me, Max. I'm, like, I never... Dude, like, not to get, like, kind of introspective, I guess. I'd never thought we would see another shuttle. Or anything like it. For a long time. Even when the Constellation program was still a thing, before we saved $30 billion. I never thought anybody would ever try to do reusable spaceflight. I thought it was, like, and then keep in mind, this was 10 years ago. I thought it was permanently ruined. Because, dude, I'm telling you, the opinions on the internet 10 years ago, and this, like, you know what I'm talking about. These are the people that say, oh, well, SpaceX should just do everything now. You know those people, right? Like, the opinion 10 years ago from, like, the internet hive mind was that, oh, reusability doesn't work. Reusability doesn't make sense. SpaceX can't do reusability. It doesn't make sense. The shuttle program proved that. The shuttle program proved that. Like, oh, man. I'd be curious to see what those people think of this. I remember reading threads like, no, reusability doesn't work. It's not economically feasible. I'm an expert economist. Like that kind of entitlement nonsense that you see. Dude, look at this. I never thought we'd see anything like the shuttle, but now we got something better. Something better came out of it, which is crazy to me. Yeah, Magellan. It's all right. People that have no clue what they're talking about usually do that, man. Because to them, it's not about being correct. It's about being right. Or it's not about being right. It's about being correct. You understand? So, whatever. You see that on the internet all the time. And don't get me wrong. Like, sometimes I do it too, but it's about dumb stuff, like... Not about, like, reusability. I think reusability is the way to go. Man. Unbelievable. Yeah, human, there you go. The hive mind has no deep knowledge about these subjects, as we can see from a lot of other stuff going on that applies to other fields. Max, that's one of the things that's the most humbling thing, I think, about really deep diving into this stuff. When you deep dive into this stuff... And I've talked about this before. When I started reading about hypersonics and aerodynamics and all this other stuff that has to do with spaceflight, it's not just giving me a scope of how complicated engineering is, but how complicated the world actually is. Like, we think about things very compartmentalized and very 50-50. It is, no, that's not how that works. Yeah, it's, in many ways, it's teaching me a lot about how complicated stuff is and how difficult stuff actually is to do. Like, it's not just spaceflight. Like, it's anything that's difficult to do is usually worth it, and is usually, well, it's unfathomable amounts of engineering that's just beyond what the average person really experiences in the day-to-day, you know? It's freaking crazy, man. There's a valve. That's a vent valve for the, maybe for the header tank. That's a big valve, so who knows? It's always more complicated than you think it is. And that's like I said, it's something that I've fed into. Like, you know, the second you kind of got you think you got a good grasp on how this stuff works, nope. You know nothing. Yep. Like, dude, I would consider myself not even close to being an expert about this stuff. No, not a chance. I don't know enough. Yeah, Max, there you go. I mean, you wouldn't see me go and try to do this. I can't do that. I can barely put my stupid truck together, you know, and that's nothing. That all the engineering was done for me with that already. Like, this is crazy. Yeah, it's nuts. It's nuts to see it. I can't believe this. I can't believe we're here. It's unreal. What if they stick the landing? Oh, Guldrix, if SN20 comes out and it does that into the water, I don't know. I don't even know what I'll say. It's insane. Dude, it makes me so happy. This just, oh man. It's crazy. It makes me so happy that we're, you know, we're doing this stuff. And on top of that, you know, on top of like having this, there's also SLS at the same time. Like, we have Dragon 2 and Starliner, and then we have Orion and SLS. You know, Atlas 5 is man-rated, Falcon 9 is man-rated. You know, there's Falcon Heavy. You know, we have SLS and Orion. We have Block 1B SLS, and then Block 2, which is going to be crazy. And then that's like totally, I mean, that would be good by itself. Having Falcon and Atlas with Dragon 2 and Starliner and Falcon 9, Falcon Heavy with SLS and Orion, that's good. That's great by itself. Like, that would be, I'd be happy. I'd be content that way. But on top of that, we have basically freaking space shuttle program. This is only better. On top of that, the Starship is going to vindicate the shuttle. It's going to vindicate it. It is going to show that the shuttle was the right move, but just poorly executed, which is what I've been saying for years. Some people say that Starship is just a way for Elon to make money off of NASA. Okay. So, what's wrong with that? Because, you know, nobody's ever made money off government contracts, right? You're not allowed to make money off a government contract. That's not how that works. That's totally unethical. It's like, yeah, okay. So what do we do then? You know, like what do we do? We just sit there and, you know, you have to accept that the government is willing to give you a handout and you shouldn't profit on it. It's just, all right, whatever. Yeah, we could do that, or we could do this. Yeah, exactly, Jonas. That's a really good way to say that. Man, grocery stores are just making money off hungry people. That's not fair. People are always going to be hungry. What a dumb thing to say. Like, okay. Yeah, also, if your goal is making money, using your own money to cover half the cost of development of the launch vehicle for the NASA contract is a bad way to go about it. Yeah, DV, that's right. You're absolutely right. He did that. Elon put like a couple $1 billion towards the Starship program, and he was able to lower his contract price for Starship for the lander system to underbid people. If Elon is just there to make money, he's doing a very bad job. Yeah, that's a very good point. He's doing a very bad job. I always thought that was funny, man. It's a funny argument. No, Victory, we're not allowed to profit. We all just have to sit here in misery, right? It's just like, dude. Bro.
Discovery, go and throttle up.
Remember what I said when you DV? Remember what I said like just a second ago about people making statements about things and weighing in on things they have no idea about? Well, there you go. He's doing a bad job at keeping money. He just dumps everything back into his companies. Yeah, I know, right? What a really, really good businessman, right? All right, let's see what's going on with Russian news, and then I want to pop back over to Starship. I want to keep talking about it. I want to keep looking at it. I'm sorry. It's ridiculous. In the best way possible. When I say ridiculous and I say that's absurd, that's ridiculous, I mean it in an endearing way. Like, it is just... I don't know. I don't have the words. I'm as speechless as Gary is. Like, look at this thing. That's a space shuttle nose cone, man. Like, what? Like, yeah, of course, spaceman. How dare you charge for your services? Yeah, I know, right? Space station was 45 degrees out of attitude when Nauka's thrusters were still firing, and loss of control was discussed with the crew. Further analysis showed that total attitude change before regaining normal altitude control or attitude control was 540 degrees. Station is in good shape and operating normally. So the space station was doing flips. Okay, good to know. Jeez. Yeah, the way they described it was that it only moved about 45 degrees, but from what we understand from the Nauka docking and firing the other day, that the space station was basically doing barrel rolls. not a lot. Like one and a half or something. Is SN20 going to have vacuum Raptors? Yep. Station wanted to participate in the Olympic gymnastics. Well, it was doing flips over Japan, Yarg. It's true.
Discovery, go and throttle up.
Dimitri, 10-month resub. All right. Speaking of that, let's see what's going on over with the Russian news. Kem, let's get to it. All right. So this is coming from Katya Pavlichenko. Today, Roscosmos hosted a meeting of the Presidium. That's a cool word. Of Science. Okay, so the Board of the Science and Technical Council on the further operation of the ISS and the results of the design change of the Russian orbital space station. Oh. Huh. Cornbread, 19-month resub. Now I want to make a presidium. It's a great word. That's your vocab word of the day. So this is their kind of updated design here. That's what the Russian orbital station is supposed to look like. There's a utility module, right? Uzlovoy. And then there's two energy modules right there. Interesting. Oh, okay, human. Let me back off here. Is this a big article? Let me see what we got here. Okay, let's read. The Council of Chief Designers have reviewed the current state of the ISS Russian segment, noted that due to the aging of a significant part of the station equipment, further operation of the ISS Russian segment after 2024 creates additional risks. In order to prevent the termination of the continuous development of near-Earth space infrastructure, it is proposed to create a national manned space complex in low Earth orbit, the Russian Orbital Service Station, okay? Created with the use of new technologies, ROSS would become an evolutionary step in the development of a program for the study and development of the Moon, flights to Mars, and implementation of innovative scientific and technical programs in space. The STC Presidium instructed Energia Incorporation to additionally conduct an analysis of the Russian segment of the ISS and take the necessary organizational and technical measures to maintain the ISS operability and safety during the work on the creation of a new generation of orbital space station, as well as develop a scenario for the completion of operation agreed with the ISS partners. Okay. In addition, the Council recommended that Roscosmos, in order to eliminate risk caused by the technical condition of the Russian segment and the planned completion of its operation by 2028, make a decision to start the technical study of the design appearance of the new space station, providing the development of a draft design of the station and the inclusion of these works in the, I don't know what FKP is. Probably just a budget, I guess. It's actually Russian Orbital Service Station. Oh, nice. All right, what else do we got? So basically they're saying, okay, how long can we keep the ISS going, and, you know, at what point should we start with a replacement program? That's basically it. They want to do their own gateway. When they talk about the moon, I'm 100% sure it's the 98-degree inclination, 98-degree latitude orbit, and this space station will be visitable. Ah, okay. I gotcha. Interesting. Okay. Next bit of news here. RA Novosti reports that the pressure in the transfer chamber of the Zvezda module, it's the air leak, dropped to 154... Damn it, there's that number again. 154 millimeters mercury, and calls it a sharp drop in pressure comparing it with the 405s. Oh, jeez. Yeah, the vestibule here. The vestibule here at the back of the space station, yeah, had a pressure drop. This is what Roscosmos means when they say that there's technical risk. These modules are old. They're very old. They've been up there for 20 years, and they've been around for 30. The Russians, the service modules, Zvezda, and the battery and power modules, Arya, were built for the Mir 2 space station, and Nauka, for instance, too. Nauka's, they were all supposed to be part of the Mir 2 space station, which was a Soviet Union project. That should tell you how old these things actually are. The fact that they've lasted this long and that they're still functioning is pretty damn impressive. But yeah, you know, leaks on the space station are no good. They want the Arctic region to be monitored to promote Arctic trade routes. Sorry, I'm still on about the ROS station. Hey, don't worry about it, dude. It's fine. Cool. All right, what else do we got here? Yeah, Hans, that's right. All right, so this is coming from Anik. Anik reports on the Russian space program, but I'm not sure where he gets his sources from. But let's read. That doesn't mean anything. It's still usually a good source. Anik usually knows his stuff. Let's see. Nauka from top to bottom. Correction and convergence engine. 2 regulators of fluid flow. 2 replaceable pump panels. Wait, what's going on here? What is he talking about, Kem? I'm confused. Oh, he's talking about the picture. Oh, sweet picture. Yeah. There it is. And the robotic arm is there. There's the robotic arm. It's covered up. They have to go out there and uncover it. Yeah, the fuel tanks are behind these radiators right here on this module. And then the solar panels are down there. But yeah, there's the ERA, right? Or ERM, excuse me. Or ERA, you call it ERA, European Robotic Arm. He's describing the parts of Nauka. Yeah, okay. Without the picture, I was really confused. Correction and convergence engine. That thing. 2 fluid flow regulators. That's those 2. 2 replaceable pump panels. Maybe those 2? Well, it's from top to bottom, so that might be it, and those are the regulators right there. Star sensor? That's that thing. Mushroom, similar to the antennas of the command and measurement system. Oh, that's what that's those things right there. The course antenna. Wait, where's the star? Oh, the star tracker's right there. I see it. Star tracker is that thing. Okay. And then the European robotic arm manipulator. Yeah, cool. To the right of one of the nodes for it. Yeah, there's an attachment port, I think. Or is that one the attachment port? It could be that one on the other side here. Yeah, those guys. Cool. Neat. Neat. All right, cool picture too. Okay, so we got a little bit more Russian news here. Let's see what we got. Specialists of the Mission Control Center on August 19th will conduct a maneuver to increase the altitude of the space station the altitude of the space station. The average height of the ISS should increase by 1.2 kilometers to the amount of 420. So close. So close. Yet so far. So close. So they're just doing a station boost. We're on the verge of greatness. Somebody call Dimitri. Tell him just put it to the numbers. Just do it. Just for the memes. Kids love the memes. We were so close. It was right there. Anyway, let's see what we got. So this is coming from Dimitri himself. This is about Nauka here. Let's see. After successful docking and integration of the science module with the ISS, a decision was made today, and another orbital module, Prichel, was sent to Baikonur from RSC Energia. It will be taken to the space station on a Progress service vehicle. The launch is scheduled for November 24th. Cool. He has yet to learn that people love memes. Kem, it's your job to tell him. We have to teach boomers about the damn memes all the time. Like, you know how awkward that is to explain it? That's on you, man. That's on you, not us. I'm not gonna do it. He won't understand what I'm saying. He'll look at me like Amerikansky. Yeah. You know it's true. Anyway. Sorry, I'm just looking at this picture again. Just... Damn. That's gonna be... This thing needs its nose cone. And then that whole thing is going on top of this. It's just... Oh, okay. Sure. Dude, I don't... It's crazy. In a good way. In a good way. Dude, I can't believe that. I just can't believe how big the freaking thing is. This thing will push the Earth from its orbit, right, Norlock? Yeah. Oh. When stacking? This week. Tell you this week. With how fast they're going, like, yeah, this week, sure. I'd say they'll stack by the end of the week. Right, Jim? The trucks look like toys. The trucks look like toys, dude. It's unbelievable. Is there a poll going right now? Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Frigel is an interesting node. It's a utility module. It's called the Ozlovoy. I think I'm saying that right. There it is. It's pretty much finished and good to go. Well, not pretty much finished. This is not even close. I really shouldn't say that. It's good enough to move to Baikonur where they have to process it. So the module is completed, but they have to get it. they have to make the module, basically get it up to snuff to be able to be launched. So we're talking about integrating into the vehicle, integrating into progress, you know, closing out all these systems, making sure that everything is covered up. That's going to take a little while. Space station modules, you want to really make sure you get that right because you really only get one shot. How tall is the booster? 70 meters? Hey, Paul, what's going on? Yeah, no, I'm still... I'm still failing to grasp super heavy size. Like, yep, there's Pritchell right there. That's what it's got. That's what the Russian segment's going to look like. It's cool, man. It's cool that Nauka's up there. It's cool seeing it. Where's the European module? That way. Next time you move ISS to Venus, why don't we just take the ISS and put it over there? If you guys don't mind, I just want to go back and look at the Starship nose cone pictures again. I'm slightly worried about the fixed grid fins moving the center of pressure too far up. But I would imagine SpaceX is already way ahead of me on the analysis and considers it to be fine. I mean, Elon was talking about some other things here. Let me go in and check some stuff here. Let me go click on the replies. Oh yeah, we gotta cover that in a second. So Viv asked Elon, why are the grid fins not evenly spaced out as they are on Falcon 9? And then Elon says, pitch control requires more force than yaw and much more force than roll. Also, grid fins closer to or in the wake of the booster are less effective. However, pretty good aero control can technically be achieved with only 2 grid fins with some effect on accuracy. Yeah. That tells me, Buck, that this is... I mean, I don't think SpaceX even knows. They know enough to know that it's not going to affect the stack, but they don't know what the effects are going to be fully. But they will. Not going to tell you what he says, but you will enjoy Elon's statement at the 3:10 mark when you watch Tim's video. Oh, okay. Yeah. There is one other thing that he was talking about. Click. I think it's right here. Urkex posted this. Check this out. It has cyberpunk music in it, but we'll look at it again without the cyberpunk stuff. Are they completely fixed? Yeah, then they only do this. The grid fins only do this. They don't fold down. God dang it, man. Cyberpunk music. So Megazilla catching super heavy. Let's see. And then Elon actually replied to that and said, that's very close to what the real thing is going to look like. Very close to real. Arms are able to move during descent to match exact booster position. Catching point is off to the side in case the catch fails. Don't want to hit the launch mount. So that explains why the 2 catcher arms are on a single post with the catching system. Actually, we can go to Erks. We can look at some past footage. See how they're both on a catcher? Both the catching arms are on a single kind of rail, I guess, and how they're attached on a segment over here. I always thought like that, like I had guessed, and this was wrong. I had guessed that the hinges for the arms are going to be out here, but it seems like what SpaceX is doing is an arm that can basically move left and right. The arm can go this way. It can pivot over here and catch over there, or it can pivot this way and catch over there. because they don't want to have the booster landing directly over the mount, because in case it falls, it's going to fall next to the mount and not destroy it, which is... Yeah, that's really smart, actually. That's a really good idea. Yeah, which actually, that's a good segue over into this this Photoshop picture by RGV. This is done by RGV Aerial, and it's a picture with the help, I think, who helped him with this? Will the top catching arms have shock absorbers? I forget who asked them to help, but yeah, check that out. It's basically what we're going to see. It's going to look, for the most part, just like that. The grid fins are gigantic, yes. The pivot is going to have to hold a lot of mass. Yeah. Yeah, that's going to have to be extremely strong. Hey, Wirelord. Really miss you all. I've had myself a wonderful girlfriend, so I've not been online as much. Hope you're all loving the amount of space news we're getting here. She's agreed to go with me to watch Falcon Heavy. Oh, nice, Wirelord. There you go. Starship cargo version should open up like the C5, but the whole cargo section should hinge with the payload in it. I don't know how to do the header pipe, though. Yeah, I don't know. Would fixed grid fins cause a lot of drag?
Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has
I mean, Jam, they're gonna do something. But okay, so here's the thing about about the grid fins and how they're designed. Let me just see if I can find a good picture of them here in the prototype thread. Just give me one moment. Austin DeSisto. Oh, Raptor Vacuum. Okay, Austin posted that. I'll post that link in chat for anybody who wants to see that. It's a long link, so sorry about the link spam. Let me find pictures of the grid fins. So, Jim, it's interesting. Okay, so the grid fins, I'm trying to just find a good picture. Here we go. This is coming from SpaceX Actual. Hang on. Let's see what that tip message was. Okay. I see you're trying to draw a paperclip. Do you need any help? All right. So, here's the thing. Everything after the question for ref can be cut out of the URL. It's just tracking metadata. Okay. So check it out. So the grid fins, you see how this is curved on the bottom? Long story short, it's a little bit more, it's complicated, right? Aerodynamics is always complicated. This is designed to create drag. Okay? It's designed to create drag. It's like basically what it's designed to do is channel the hypersonic boundary layer into these squares. So at high speed, the grid fin can control things. That's why it's called a hypersonic control surface. It's not necessarily a speed brake, but just like control surfaces on a plane, when you if you're in a plane and you pull the yoke back, it'll flip the elevators on the back of the plane up, and you'll go up, right? The control surface does cause drag because it's moving the air. It's creating a lot of low pressure behind it and creating a lot of high pressure in front of it, right? So that is going to cause drag. It's important to understand that the grid fins aren't speed brakes. They're not speed brakes. They're control surfaces. So if you think about a wing shape being a teardrop, right? Like wings are basically a teardrop that's kind of bent. It's called an aerofoil, right? If you have air coming at it from the back, it's not going to work. It's not going to work as well, right? The grid fins are the same way, but they're the same way at hypersonic speed. So this thing is designed to have air going into it this way, going way past the speed of sound. Having air come at it this way is going to create drag, but it's not going to create as much drag as you think because the air is just going to pass right through it. It has a very low coefficient of drag. You know, from this, like coming at it from this side, very low. But from this side at hypersonic, it's much higher. If you notice, there's blunt tips right there. If you notice these aren't pointy, they're cut off. There's a very good reason for that. That's why this thing can control it going very fast because of those points. And that's why these are hemispherical on the bottom and why they're not on the top. So it will cause drag, guys, but it's not going to cause as much drag as you think. That's because the top is flat and the bottom is not flat. So on the way up, yeah, it'll cause drag. But once again, you're getting air brakes and control surfaces confused. It's a control surface. Control surfaces don't cause that much drag. It won't mess it up too much. Not as much as you'd think. Because once again, that thing is just a screen. It's not going to move the center of pressure up as much as you think it is. Raptors will absolutely be able to compensate for that. No problem. Why the tips cut? Okay, so they're cut to be able to basically vector plasma through the grid fin or vector air at hypersonic speeds through the grid fin. So at speed, and keep in mind, let me find a picture. So check this out. At supersonics and hypersonic speeds, the air starts doing really weird things. Long story short, because air is fluid, it starts leaving a wake, okay? So the wake looks something like that. All right, this is NASA imaging of a T-38 breaking the sound barrier, right? You see this? See the wake? So at supersonic speeds, it just creates a wake of air. And the darker the area, the bigger basically the louder the sonic boom. Just on a side note, that's not really... It's circumstantial to this, I guess. It's just a side thing to say. But here's what happens. At hypersonic speeds, so... Hey, Evil Rays, thanks for the host, man. At hypersonic speeds, plasma does the same thing, only it's a lot hotter. Basically, what those grid fins are designed to do, each one of those little things on the grid fins, let me just find the right picture. I don't know where I had it open. That's the same picture. Each one of those grid fins is a nose cone. All right? Think of it like the nose of that T-38, and it's doing that. And at hypersonic speeds, the angle of your boundary layer changes. It gets steeper. So the angle, at supersonic, it stays over here. The faster you go, the more the angle of that kind of changes. It goes down like this. The angle relative to the vehicle. So it's a theta. It's represented as theta, if I'm remembering right. It goes down. And what that does is, and that's what separates the grid fin from a regular hypersonic control surface, or from just a regular control surface like that you'd find on the back of an airplane. It's taking that wake and pushing it into these squares. Right? That's why the nose is blunt, because it's trying to force the wake into the squares to get the vehicle to control. Because if you just have a regular control surface, all it's going to do is slow you down at high speed. All it's going to do is be an air brake. It can't channel the air correctly to be able to steer you. That's why this thing looks like a waffle iron, basically. I'm curious how the shocks would interact, especially coming off the rear fins on Starship and hitting the fins at an angle. It would be very interesting. Yeah. Grid fins have very tiny cross-sectional mass area compared to the cylindric hull. Pretty much. Is there a truss that connects the grid fins, like behind the Space Shuttle SRBs, to support the load? Yeah, there's a huge bar behind it, Nick. Yeah, of course. Just a thought experiment. I'm curious how... so, Lavi... sorry, I have to reread it. I'm curious how the shocks would interact, especially coming off of the rear fins on Starship. Are they just regular steel? It looks like it. Heavy, I think it's going to be negligible. I just copped a new PC with a 1080 and an i7 8700 for free. Nice, Demo. Nice. Demo, I'm explaining why the bottom of the grid fin is curved and why the top of it is flat. Long story short is because this. But, yeah, Demo, people are asking, and maybe you can help me answer this. People are asking, like, are these going to create drag on the way up? And my answer is no, probably not. Air is just going to pass right through it. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's still going to disturb the air in some way, shape, or form, but it's not going to be as bad as people think it is. The big brain move is to rotate it so the fins are between the pairs of the grid fins. I think that's what they want to do, right? Like, I'm pretty sure. We already discussed that. I think that these are going to be out. If they're out, yeah, that could work. Sea last, okay. Elon said that the engine don't need to compensate for the fins being like that. Also, the fins are moved using a Model 3 motor. Cool. Pretty much, Jim. Yeah, that's basically the way that cuts the air is it vectors the wake into the squares on the grid fin. Grid fins are hypersonic control surfaces are not anything new. GBU 43s have been using them for years. See? It's not anything new. Except these are stabilizers that are causing it to slow down. It's just a stabilizer. That's not a control surface. SpaceX did one better than this and made a control surface out of the thing. I mean, in what Falcon 9 does and what that does is not that far off. This thing, when it hits the ground, it blows up. Falcon 9, when it gets near the ground, it fires its rocket engine and lands, but it's basically the same idea. Tank vents will be tried on Super Heavy instead of RCS. Elon Musk gave everyday astronaut a tour of Starbase. Yeah, I know. That's a big ordnance. Delivering ordnance is something we're good at. That's right. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, sometimes Falcon 9 blows up, too. Well, some of the SNs don't explode. The starships don't have grid fins on them, Kickning. Why are grid fins smaller at the holding point? It's probably because they're as wide as they need to be. Like, that's the best thing that I can come up with, I suppose. Why they move in? Because I don't think they need a bar that big. With that being said, that is still gigantic, guys. A person could easily move through that. This is like a door. That's as tall as a doorway. I'm not even kidding. That's about as tall as a doorway. So we're talking about 6 to 8 feet right there. So that pillar is this big. I mean, it's big. These grid fins are frigging huge. They're about the size of a truck. Did you cover the tiles being glued onto the LOX header tank? It was covered, yeah. Oh boy. I'm trying to see if we can denote scale from this thing, but not really. Dinosaur bear trap. Yeah. I'm trying to find the best pictures that convey this booster's scale, and it's very difficult, but I mean, oh. I lost my train of thought. I'm sorry. This is the largest stack ever. It's gonna be about as tall as a Saturn V. Yeah, maybe. I think Starship might even be a little bit taller. Taradra, it's just. I mean, yeah. Here's another one from Mary. So, This is coming from Boca Chica Gal over at NASA Spaceflight. I mean, once again, look at the passageway for the grid fin and look at the dude. It's maybe not 6 to 8 feet. I'd say that's probably 4 to 5. So maybe 1.5 meters diameter, right there. It's. I mean, like I said, the grid fin is the size of a truck. It's incomprehensible size here. Snapshot of the grid fin per close up from Tim Dad. That's I mean, it's just crazy. Yeah, here's the nose cone pictures that I wanted to see. And it's funny because the front is... Oh, man, that's so damn cool. The front is going to look like the space shuttle. I'm so hype. The tiles go all the way around the front. It's going to look like the space shuttle. It's going to make me so happy. I cropped it to not show the faces. Cool, cool. Thank you. Yeah, here's one of the grid fin. That's big. That's as big as a car or a truck. It's about as long as maybe not as long as the crew cab Dodge over there, but maybe like 2/3 the size. So like the size of a full-size car, which is, I mean, look at it on the lowboy. Those are truck tires, man. Actually, this is a gooseneck, not a lowboy. Just. The thing is as big as a truck tire. 3 tons? It weighs as much as a freaking truck. That's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. To try to what you said earlier, the grid fins like that will definitely create drag, but to what extent, I'm not sure. They could have shortened them from the original renders because they wanted to not fold them. Demo... They're not going to create as much drag on the way up as they would, like if the grid fins were flipped 180 degrees and you had curvy end pointing up, they would create more drag that way. But once again, total amount, I have no idea. Is that an older version? I think it was. Guess on the mass of the whole thing, Tom? Fueled or unfueled? Fueled, I don't know, 500 tons maybe? That's a guess. I have no idea. It's heavy. It's heavy, that's for sure. Especially with all those rocket engines attached to it. Super heavy when it rolled out. I mean, that might be an overestimate. I don't know. Elon has talked about it previously, but here. We got an NSF video of the Raptor install, speaking of that, so let's go here. Check it out. This is coming from our buddies over at NASA Spaceflight. Mary's the one that shot all this. Elon said 160 to 200 tons. For the whole stack, when is the launch date? Don't know. Let's see what we got here. For super heavy? Yeah. Ferd. I want to move me off the logo there. $5,000 tons could be a reasonable estimate when it's fully fueled, yeah. I just can't believe how big this thing is. I mean, look at the person. See the people right there? This thing's as big as a skyscraper. I mean, it's basically inside of a skyscraper. But nice close up of the grid fin being installed. Yeah. Maybe we'll get that in this video. live video of that. Is there anybody that lives at Boca Chica who isn't interested in space? I'm not sure. Probably, I mean, maybe. Yeah, Tessa, that'd be one big boom. I don't think they're going to do an in-flight abort, though.
Go at throttle up.
Not intentionally, at least. Hey, Technical, what's up, dude? 40 months. Dude. I'm sorry. I don't mean to swoon over it, guys, but there's... Frickin' tiles, man. My shuttle will be vindicated. Ultimately, I think the non-folding grid fins are dumb because I also think catching the booster is dumb. Fair criticism, I guess. They'll probably have to do one for testing and human rating purposes. Tessa, it's an airplane. Think of it like an airplane. I don't think there's going to be any abort. I think they're going to test RTLS that might result in an abort. That might result in a blown up thing, but super heavy. But it's a plane, dude. No abort system, just like the shuttle. I think it's a good. I think that was a good idea with the shuttle. I still think it's a good idea. You know, and I get it. Yes, it's more dangerous. With that being said,
Go at throttle up.
do airplanes have ejector seats or parachutes? Like, does a 747 have it? Does an A380 have them? No. Safety through reliability. Reliability through rapid prototyping and flying. I don't think you'll see an in-flight abort for Starship. It's not... yeah, I don't think that'll happen. Evil Rays, Wood, almost 1 year, 11-month resub. Thank you. What interests me is that those tiles and how uneven they are. I think that's because the tanks are depressed, Lavi. I think when the tanks pressurize, the tiles will even out. I think. That's my guess, too. But yeah, Starship is supposed to be like an airplane, guys. It's supposed to be an airplane that flies into space. Which is funny because it doesn't look like an airplane. The shuttle looked much more like a plane, I guess, comparatively to this. But that's what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be just a transport vehicle that can move payloads into space rapidly. Oh my god. Note that there's tiles behind inside of the mount because SpaceX knows that plasma is going to find its way in there. Plasma goes everywhere. It's hot, rough, and it gets everywhere. Eee, that's nice.
Discovery. Go at throttle
There
up.
it is. Oh, it's kind of like sand. Yeah. Gary, yeah, I told him to chill, was it? He won't stop talking. Like, oh my goodness. There they are. There's SN20 and booster number 4. If they're going to catch the booster, then does that mean we're only going to see one booster built at a time? Doesn't it make much sense? It doesn't make much sense to keep the pad occupied by an empty booster that's being inspected when you could put another fresh booster on the pad. Long term, it might make sense when they get more pads built, but right now it makes very little sense to you. Okay, there's a lot to unpack there. Let me see demos. Oh, jeez. Weird time to stop. If they're going to catch a booster, does that mean they're only going to see one booster being built at a time? No, they'll most likely pull it off the mounts and stage it somewhere. There's a staging area right next to where the pad where the pad is being made demo. So that's most likely not going to be the case. I think it's going to be a while before they catch something, but catching things is a long-term solution. So, like Booster 4. Booster 4 is not coming back. It's going to be expended, which is... that kind of sucks, but it's going to be expended because they don't have the landing mechanism figured out yet. But they're also going to build 2 pads down there. The draft assessment has them building 2 of these pads. And Demo, if you want my honest opinion, I think that this infrastructure, once again, airplane, operative word. I think that these pads in this infrastructure is going to be basically like don't think of it like a twin pad launch complex like 39A and 39B. Think of it like this. This is where Boeing makes 747s and 777s, right? In Everett. They need a runway to get the planes out of there. That's what this is. It's like their starships are going to fly off to other destinations, right? Like the Cape or like Vandenberg or something. I don't know. So, heck, man, they might use it. They might have a booster testing pad and a booster sending pad, you know. But in terms of like getting the booster around, I don't know. Maybe they'll move the boosters via the oil rigs or something and then have them hop somewhere. I don't know. But that's what I'm thinking. You know, those pads are just going to be test stands, just like Boeing does their testing right here on this runway. Don't you get my hopes up using Vandenberg. Do you honestly not see a scenario in the future where Starship's not going to fly from Vandenberg? Are you implying that boosters are only going to fly out of Boca to be transported to KSC? Starships, yeah, probably. How else are you going to move them? Why else would you move them any other way? That's like saying, hey, we want to test this 777, but we want to test it at LAX. So instead of flying it from Everett to LAX, we're just going to ship it in pieces. It doesn't make any sense. Hey, Shady, what's going on? Remember, Lone Star Development has a 24-acre property in the port of Brownsville. I think they're going to use that to move super heavies around, Thomas, if you really want my honest opinion. Or they could use the oil rigs. They could use the oil rigs to move them around. It could be that too. Who knows? There's a bunch of options on the table here. But either way, I mean, they're going to build two pads, and they're going to be able to take... They could take super heavy off as they could take it off of the pad as quickly as they could put one on. So, I don't know. Maybe we'll see multiple booster test flights. Maybe we'll see hops coming out of there. Suborbital hops with super heavy to test it and make sure that it works and then put a Starship on it. I have no idea. I don't know, man. At the end of the day, we're in way uncharted territory here. This is... It's uncharted territory, man. I don't know what to expect here. This is why I choose to go and dig into these videos on stream, because I don't know. I don't think SpaceX even knows, and that's not saying to say that they don't know what they're doing. The way SpaceX prototype stuff is sending it and seeing what works. So, dude, I don't even think they think that, you know, they know what they're going to do in the long term. I mean, they know they want to get Starship flying in the long term, right? Like, obviously. But, yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, Elon always plays the long game, so it might not make sense now, but it'll make sense later. That's what I find with most of the engineering projects of his that I follow. Like, everybody said he was dumb for trying to mass produce Model S's. And everybody said he was dumb for trying to make a Model S-based SUV. And then everybody said he was dumb to try and mass produce electric cars with the Model 3. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I just observe. I try not to make assumptions here. I try to figure out what they're doing so I can explain it better. Hey, girl. You see the Elon tour? No, I haven't. I agree, Eric. I think that's right. They have to be able to turn around that booster a lot faster. Interesting. He was dumb with the Cybertruck. Yeah, I mean, Snickers, you guys, I mean, I'm not a fan of Cybertruck. I think it looks a little weird. I mean, it's cool. Like, I don't hate it. I like that it's a radical departure from how other trucks are made, and as a truck enthusiast, I appreciate it. I don't think I'm going to buy one, but that doesn't mean that people aren't going to. You know, he was done. You're going to say he's done with the Cybertruck, but they're going to sell 1 million of those things. Like, do you really think they're not going to? They're going to sell a lot of those. Not sure who to believe that. I mean, Lavi, if that was the case, do you think they'd be willing to yeet SN20 the way that they're going to? I don't believe that. That doesn't make any sense. Yeah, Zanku, something like that. Those short window Cadillacs look like poop, and they sold tons of those, yeah. Levy, people often, oh, there's the dingle bop. Levy, people often confuse, okay, Levy, all right, here's an example. All right, I deal with a lot of hearsay myself. All right, one thing that it's interesting is that this hearsay and the rumors that you hear through hearsay about what SpaceX is doing, and they're not going to be able to do this, they're not going to be able to do this, that comes from people that are misinterpreting information. What does that mean? So what do you mean misinterpreting information? All right, think about it like this. Ares 1. What do I say about Ares 1? Besides, it should have flown, and it was dumb that it didn't. All right. Everybody says, oh, Ares 1 is a bad design. Ares 1 is a bad design. It's a bad design. It's never going to work. That's not a good idea. I read that Air Force report. The launch escape system isn't going to work. NASA can't figure out the SRB vibrations. It's never going to... No. That's not... Nope. You're demonstrating a pretty strong indicator that you have no idea how testing works if you say stuff like that. The reason is because when Ares 1 got canceled, those were the things that still needed to be figured out. That doesn't mean that Ares 1 was a bad design. That doesn't mean that it wasn't safe, blah, 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 blah. There was an Air Force report, an Air Force technical report about the launch escape system having problems where the SRB plume could cross with the launch escape system or with the capsule's path when the capsule is parachuting down, and the parachutes could pick up the ash from the SRB flames and it could make the parachutes fail in certain wind conditions. So with that one, you're saying that the rocket is susceptible to wind. Okay? Yeah, most rockets are. Most rockets have wind condition scenarios. Okay, so that's not an insurmountable problem right there. The other one, the SRB vibrations that are happening. NASA had already designed a damping system that was going to be installed on Ares 1Y, the next Ares 1 flight, with a full 5-segment booster. You can go look up the CAD system, the CAD designs for it. They're around. Of the shock absorber, the damping design that they would have put into the inner stage to absorb the vibrations and make the vibrations good for human rating. So everybody says, oh, Ares 1 wouldn't have flown. Ares 1 is a bad design. I don't like the way it looks. Yeah, the only reason why Ares 1 gets a bad rap is because it was canceled midway through development. Straight up. Straight up. Like, would Falcon 9 be as good if SpaceX stopped development after Falcon 9 1.1? You know, that same peanut gallery would be saying after, and actually this is what they were saying after Jason 3 failed to land on the drone ship back in 2016. They're saying, oh, see, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. There's always something that's going to go wrong. You know, I saw the thing fail. I saw the docking collet on the legs failed to move in, and now it tipped over. Reusable is dumb. Reusability is never going to work. Falcon 9 is never going to work. It's not a good design. It's misinterpreting information. Now, whether people are doing it intentionally or not, I have no idea. Probably not. Probably not, but you got to understand the context of which this information is presented. And in that regard, Lavi, I think what you told me over there is stupid. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. Why would they do an orbital flight test if they weren't sure? That doesn't make sense. Sorry, have Kerbal, how do you merge ta? Hit the load button and then hit the merge button with the craft file that you want. You're thinking too smart. You're making stupid people look stupid. No, I'm telling you that people think they can weigh in on rocket science without knowing what the hell they're talking about. And don't get me wrong, I do that sometimes too. I make that mistake. I'm human. I'm not perfect. I wish. That would be really nice, right? But I'll admit if I'm wrong about something, and I'll tell you what the right thing is, because it's not about me being right or wrong. That's dumb. It's about learning what we're doing and understanding, so we can understanding makes me a better teacher, and you guys understanding gets more people involved with space. That's what's most important to me, you know. It's not weird. It's just somebody misinterpreting something that somebody told them from hearsay from another guy. It's telephone, Lavi. Don't worry about it. So this is the dynamic load simulator. This thing is going out to the pad as well, I think. These hydraulic jacks are going to pull down on the booster and crumple it to do pressure testing. It's not even, Lavi, it's not even conflict of interest. People just don't understand the context in which you have to test this stuff. It's not even that they have nefarious intent. Their ignorance to how the testing works is like shows. Like, that's all. Oh, concrete pour. SG, one big thing I'm worried about with Super Heavy is that it doesn't have something similar to Falcon 9's Octaweb to protect the engines if one of them fails. Oh, yeah, I don't think they wanted the mass to do that, SG. I don't think they had the mass with that, but yeah, you're talking about if one engine pukes its guts out, it could damage the other engines. Yeah, that's an interesting thing. I wonder how they're going to... Heck, I wonder how the engines are going to stay in one piece when Super Heavy comes back down, but apparently Super Heavy won't need to do an entry burn. Super Heavy is going to not go nearly as high as Falcon 9 from what I understand. It's about the TWR. It's going to yeet Starship out of the atmosphere as fast as it can. And main engine cutoff is going to be less, it's going to be lesser time than 2 minute 30 seconds like it usually is with any other rocket. Usually the first stage is somewhere past 2 minutes. Super Heavy, from what I understand, will be able to go further and higher in less time because it's super freaking powerful. Super Heavy, right? The high TWR is going to actually affords you more delta V when you're talking first stages, but you have to balance that with not liquefying the potential human payload on board, right? And you also have to balance that with not crumpling the booster on the way up. So I mean, Genesis, that's true, but that's not exactly what we're talking about. But yeah, you're right. Is that a Supra? No, it's a truck. Can't you read? It says truck on the side. Yeah, Lavi, it's going to be even quicker than that, but Super Heavy's going to have insanely high TWR. There's the orbital launch mount. Bab. Ferd. Oh god, look at this. Look at this nice Ferd. Ah, it's a nice truck. Actually, my freaking old man bought a truck that looks just like that. With the power boost. Yeah, Vanguard, maybe. So there's something. I think that's going to be the catch structure, Camaro. But I'm not sure. Don't all American trucks look like that? No. No. My old man bought an F-150 Brim. It looks kind of like that, but it's a little different. It's an F-150, but it's got a power boost. So the funny thing is that it's a hybrid, but it's not a hybrid that's designed for fuel economy, even though that's a byproduct. It's a hybrid that's designed to make power, like a Formula One car, which is funny. The thing makes dude, and once again, I can't stand hybrids. I really think it's overly complicated for what you're trying to do. It'd be better to just go electric or just use a gasoline engine for the complexity. I understand it and I appreciate the engineering though, that's for sure. It's got an electric motor built into the transmission, right? And it makes 600 foot-pounds of torque between the 3.5 twin turbo and the hybrid system, which is pretty cool. 600 foot-pounds, dude. You can tow as much as an F-250. Well, not really, but almost. Yeah, kind of, Miff, yeah. But it's the power boost. So it's 3.5 twin turbo with the hybrid. Once again, it's 600 foot-pounds of torque from a 3.5 V6, which is just, all right. And it makes 400 horse or something. When we get into game, are you going to get the structural test article out on the pad to see if 12.2 worked? Yeah, we should do that, Loopy. That's a good idea. I went with the classic V8. Miff, that's what I would do. I would go with it, just engine or just the electric one. I like your truck, dude. Your truck's nice. Yeah, I mean, I think the electric F-150 is cool, to be honest with you. But I also like Cybertruck. I appreciate it. It's crazy times we live in. In a good way. Crazy good in a good way. This is so cool. So much cool stuff happening, man. That's cool, Old Force. I'll have to check it out after the stream. I agree, Predominant. Yeah, no, I'm with you on that one. I think the Cybertruck is kind of a yeet head first into building electric pickup trucks. F-150 is a very conservative approach by Ford, and I think they're going to end up... I don't know if they're going to sell as much as Cybertruck, but I think they'll sell more in the long term than Cybertruck, to be honest with you. If you really want, like, you were talking about it the other day, and I was thinking about it yesterday, because I'm all over the place. Like, I think that Ford will consistently sell more over time, and that over time they'll pass Cybertruck. But I think Cybertruck is going to kick its butt for like the first 5 years. I mean, Tesla's going to go and eat their lunch. I'm interested in the new Lightning, but I'm going to wait a few years before I jump. Case in point. See what I'm talking about? Reagan, how could the Dinglebot be a thrust ram? Booster 4 has a full set of engines. There's going to be basically an interstage adapter on the top, Reagan, and those hydraulic jacks are on a cable that's attached to the top, and they're going to pull the hat of the booster down. All depends on battery production. So many factors. Yeah. Okay. I mean, yeah, maybe. Might be a limit, but I don't think it's going to be a limit in 5 years, man, to be honest with you. I'm a current Model 3 owner. I would buy an F-150 over Cybertruck all day long if I needed a truck. I like Cybertruck for what it's worth. I think it's cool. I think it's a cool truck. I like that Tesla is very just like, yeah, let's make this. Screw it. See what happens. I like the exoskeleton design. I'll be honest with you though, I mean, if you get into a collision, that's basically car's totaled, like, or truck is totaled. But then again, it is stainless steel, so it might just plow through things. Who knows? Lightning's first run is totally geared at fleet sales. Think about companies with service fleets. Oh yeah, absolutely. Forgive me if you talked about it, but have you seen that they patched KSP? Shady, what do you think? What do you think? I'm looking at a 96 F-150. So good. Yeah, me too. Does the F-150 Lightning not compare really well to Cybertruck? I mean, they're both electric pickups, but I think I think in terms of straight performance, Cybertruck wins.
Are we out of Swiffer pads? Is that a thing?
They're in the linen closet.
Okay.
Hi, by the way.
Hi.
The Hummer EV is kind of interesting. I think it's cool. Cool piece of tech. I haven't fully gotten into it, but like read about what it does. But I've heard good things. But GM is failing at marketing like they always do, which is really funny to me. Could you imagine a snowplow on a Cybertruck? Sure, why not? Cybertrucks would be great in the snow. But see, here's the thing. Here's the thing about electric cars. Electric cars are good in the snow, but electric cars do not like sitting in the snow. There's this problem up here, and once again, this is not an insurmountable problem, but something. I mean, any car is susceptible to this happening. Critters, like little critters up here, like eating out the wire harnesses of the Teslas because the batteries have to stay warm, especially if the ambient temperature goes below freezing. You don't want the batteries to freeze. They don't work as well when they freeze. So the coolant system on the Tesla is constantly circulating coolant and it's nice and warm. And mice, bunnies, squirrels and stuff end up finding, they go try to make a house inside of the Tesla. Yeah, Teslas are really susceptible to that. Don't get me wrong, regular cars are too. But yeah, I had a neighbor next to my parents' house and the kid bought a Model 3 and yeah, oh yeah, mouses ate the wire harness like after a year. Go figure. And once again, that's not a knock on Tesla. Because you know why it's not a knock on Tesla? Because that's an easily solvable engineering problem. It's not that big of a deal. They'll figure out ways around it. Tiles, yeah. Is that the big picture? The 144 megapixel? Yeah, I've seen it. It's really cool. Well, one more thing I have to worry about then. I get your Model 3 in September. If you put it in a garage, it's fine. So yeah, unless the garage has mice. But once again, like, I'm not trying to knock Tesla. It's just something to take into account. You have to take into account with a regular car. Mouses are trying to get at the Dodge, the Coronet that I have sitting outside. They're trying to get at it. But I go and I cover it up and I, safe the vehicle. No. Yeah, that's just something with cars where it's cold. I mean, well, they have switched to heat pumps. They switched to a heat pump with the Model S Plaid. So that tells me that Tesla is prototyping that heat pump with that tells me that they're prototyping the heat pump with the newer versions of Teslas, which means that they've already solved that problem because Tesla goes fast. Just saw this on Kerbal X. What's that demo? Huh. Cool. Oh, that's a cool little thing right there. Neat. All right, guys. I think we sufficiently covered space news, yeah? Oh, there is one last thing. Excuse me. By the way, EJ, have you purchased those books yet? Oh, Jim, you're killing me, man. You're killing me, dude. No, I haven't. Cool selection, though, dude. You should link it up in chat. Here, check this out. Administrator, Senator, Astronaut, Cowboy Astronaut, Millionaire Bill Nelson. Sorry, it's a funny joke, but it's just NASA Administrator Bill Nelson visited visited and toured the VAV to see SLS stacking progress on the 28th, ahead of the Artemis 1 launch. Look, Florida man stares at big orange tube. More at 11. What's that, Thomas? Are mice that big of a problem? We have 2 of our 3 cars outside all the time and have 0 issues. I mean, neighbor's car got punked by it, Sebi. I don't know. I've heard more people say that, but yeah, like I said, I don't think it's that big of a deal. It's just something to note. Spacecraft environmental control systems, environmental control and life support system R&D engineer, wastewater recovery and water quality. Cool. So there's Bill looking at the big orange rocket right there. What's the latter part of this say? See more images here. Billy. Let me tell you how important it is to use this rocket behind us. Oh, dude, what a Chad. He's wearing this S61C shirt. Nice. Nice. That guy's been into space. The guy that runs NASA has been into space before, in the 80s. Bill Clinton Nelson. No. That's a different Bill, Spaceman. Different Bill. So it looks like they're, let's see, the next components to be stacked are the Orion stage adapter and the Orion spacecraft. We know that the launch escape system is integrated to the Orion capsule. They should finish processing very soon here, and the staging adapter is in the ISS processing lab down a little bit away from that. Once the OSA is installed, they're going to do modal testing, and then they should put the payload on by the end of the summer. Stupid question. What folder do I put the new patch for KSP into? The KSP folder. He's not a vet astronaut, Karama. He's only been into space once, but still, that's pretty cool. I've always said it once. I've said it once, I'll say it again. The NASA administrator, the guy that runs NASA, should not be a scientist, should not be an engineer. That's what the head of the mission directorates is for. The Person that runs NASA should be a politician. There should be a politician that that's an intermediary between the engineers and the politicians. Because engineers and politicians don't see eye to eye with each other. You know why they don't see eye to eye with each other? Because engineers make sense. Okay? Right? Scientists and engineers make sense. The other side, not so much. It's a joke. But it's important for somebody it's important to have an intermediary there that can translate, because sometimes it gets broken down. Have you checked this space news yet? NASA rocket engines returned. Oh, okay. When was that's from April 6th, dude. Where'd you get that information, Bandit? That's from like 3 months ago. Well, not more. You know what I mean. It's old. Look, I'll tell you that engineers are not good at dealing with customers, okay? So why can't the engineers just take the specs to the software people, huh? Well, you know, I sometimes just take the specs and from the customers and take them to the engineers, or they're faxed. You physically take the specs from the customers and bring them to the engineers physically? Well, yeah. Look, I deal with the goddamn customers so the engineers don't have to. Don't you understand that? I have people skills. I am good at dealing with people. What the hell is wrong with you people? And there's Tom Spakowski. He's useless. Gone. And then there's Samir Naga. Not gonna work here anymore. Gone. You're gonna fire Michael and Samir. Yeah, you know, just offshored somewhere overseas. It's standard operating procedure. Big Boy 4014 is up and running again. Nice. Not telling you that the engineers are not good at dealing with customers. I'm sorry, that's still funny, dude. It's still funny. Oh, man, it's still funny. What is that from? It's from Office Space, man. Yeah, that movie is how old at this point? 1998 or something? That movie's, what, 23 years old? No, I'm not saying that to make people feel old, even though that's what's going to happen, but it's still relevant. It's still fun. Dude, people still talk like that in the corporate world, man. Like, I don't deal with it as much as I used to, thank God, but jeez. Why don't the engineers just take them to the software people, huh? Like consultants, business consultants do stuff like that all the time. This is why Space News takes over 3 hours. Well, I can shut the stream off if you want. Oh, 04 is nice. End the stream? You won't? Nice, Dish. You sure about that?
Discovery, go at throttle up.
I'm just kidding. Let's go. I think that's everything. When Starbase stream? I don't know. I think we got everything. All right. What are you, chicken? No, I'm good. We could just, you know what? We could just keep talking about space news, you know? Oh, hey, there's some good space news. Thank you. Let's just keep going. Just keep it going. Here, check this out. X-59 news. NASA's X-59 quiet supersonic transporter is currently under construction at the Skunk Works and is designed to fly at supersonic speeds, approximately 660 miles per hour at sea level, without producing a startling sonic boom for people on the ground. Hey. Nice. Yep, yeah, they're working on sub-assemblies here and putting the thing together. Cool. Have you checked this out? RS-25 rocket engine. Yeah, I've checked it out. Bandit, why do you keep linking news from the 6th of April? You've linked that 3 times now, and I've asked you twice. But you know that article's from the 6th, right? That's from a couple months ago. That is, Broke Oiler, yep. I'm like busy moving. Okay. Today is April 6th. You sure? Trying to pay attention and move to a new house, and my mom is talking to me. I'm sorry. Right. Anyway. Okay. Nah, today is March 523rd, 2020. Yep, that's right. Okay, so, fellas, what I'm going to do now... Give me one moment. Bandit, look what you did. You done goof.